What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to The Fringe. One subject I haven't touched on the channel because I knew something like this was going to come out. I knew the pressure was going to mount, so there was no need to talk about it until it was time to talk about it. The Epstein Files have been apparently requested to be released. Now, first, Trump said there were no files. Then they talked back and forth with the DOJ. Everybody knows the timeline, but now the pressure has surmounted enough that there's no more hiding it. Things are going to come out, although we do have to talk about what exactly is going to come out, because I think some people might be disappointed, so stay with me throughout the video. Since we're talking about people who go to islands, it's a good time to shill and let people know. You can pick up my copy of The Young Kid's Guide to Grooming, written by Unacceptable Fringe, over on Amazon right now. You'll notice that there's a predominant character similar to the people that we're talking about on the cover of said book. It is a very funny, politically satired book, 4.7 star ratings on Amazon. The only reason we're shilling this is, just keep in mind, folks, all book sales from Unacceptable Fringe all the profits are being donated to the Texas flood victims. So go pick up your copy right now. Wouldn't it be great to make this book go #1 again while all these files are being released? Keep in mind, for all of our American viewers, the $15.99 is the Canadian price, so it's actually less to pick this up in the United States. Spread the word. Let's see how much we can raise for the Texas flood victims. That being said, let's get on to ABC News, because they talk about what came out yesterday, Saturday, in regards to releasing of the files. Trump calls those who want the files released troublemakers. Boy, this isn't going to bode well. Let's take a look. Although President Donald Trump ordered the Justice Department to request the release of more details in the probe of convicted offender Jeffrey Epstein, he claimed Saturday that the move may do little to quell the outspoken criticism of his administration's handling of the case. The president reiterated on social media that he asked the Department of Justice to release all grand jury testimony with respect to Jeffrey Epstein, subject only to court approval. Trump, however, lashed out against the loud voices who have called for transparency since the Justice Department and FBI issued their July 6 memo regarding their decision not to release any further files from federal investigations into the late financier. The reason this is being held back, folks, a lot of people say, well, it's because Donald Trump knew Jeff. It's bigger than that. You know who's on these lists, right? Like, these are big, important people that are on these lists. They don't want any of this getting out. You know, Tom Hanks a couple times had to debate where he's moving to. There's rumor his name's on that list. But big guys like Bill Gates have been rumored to be on this list. Millionaires, billionaires, elites. It's not going to bode well. But again, I'm going to say where I think things are going to fall. People might be a little disappointed. Stay with me on this one, folks. Donald Trump goes on to be quoted, "Even if the court gave its full and unwavering approval, nothing will be good enough for the troublemakers and the radical left lunatics making the request. It will always be more, more, more," Trump said in his post. Trump has downplayed the concerns from several people, including prominent Republicans and conservative pundits, that the government hasn't done enough to get the truth behind the charges issued against the financier 6 years ago. The Justice Department and FBI confirmed Epstein, met his end in a Manhattan jail cell on August 10th, 2019. Of course, footage missing from that, critical footage missing from that, which really tells people the perceived truth anyways. Trump once had a friendly relationship with Jeff, socializing in New York and Palm Beach. When Jeff was arrested in 2019, Trump said they'd had a falling out and hadn't spoken in 15 years. The president has never been accused of wrongdoing in connection to Jeff, despite his name appearing several times on private flight logs. The Department of Justice said in its Friday filing that its request for grand jury testimony follows extensive public interest. The filing said the Department of Justice plans to work with the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York to make appropriate redactions of victim-related information and other personal identifying information prior to releasing the transcripts. So this is where people who maybe are getting their hopes up that, oh, the list is going to be out, everybody's going to see the list. lot of redactions are going to be in this list. So really, this is what Trump is saying, why it's going to be more, we want more, we want more. People aren't going to get it. Nobody's going to get it. Not to the degree that people expect. What people are asking for, essentially, is for the list to just be out in the public, unredacted, all information out there for people to see. They're going to have to throw a bone somewhere. They can't just redact everything and say, there you go, folks, it's all out there now. People are going to demand something. They want some names at the very minimum. At least the big names. I don't think they're going to get them. The redactions are going to be the biggest thing. Quoted, transparency in this process will not be at the expense of our obligation under the law to protect victims, the filing added. So again, protecting those victims could mean redacting the criminals. The filing, which was only signed by Attorney General Pam Bondi and Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, requested the court conclude that Jeff and Ghislaine Maxwell cases qualify as a matter of public interest. I know her name is pronounced different than Ghislaine or Ghislaine. I always say Ghislaine. Release the associated grand jury transcripts and lift any pre-existing protective orders. Maxwell, an associate of Epstein, was also convicted of certain charges and sentenced to 20 years in prison in 2022. Formal federal prosecutor told ABC News that the Justice Department's request might not give any new details. Again, the redactions are pretty much making this a moot point. So before people get excited, I don't think it's going to go anywhere or bring anything new to light. The transcript lightly mentions a small fraction of overall testimony and evidence gathered by the Department of Justice against the disgraced financier. Former Assistant United States Attorney Sarah Kristoff told ABC News. What's funny is you had Miss Maxwell requesting the ability to speak, the ability to drop names. I don't believe that she's interested in having the same fate as Jeff, but time will tell. This is a huge mess. It says here that the grand jury testimony is going to be very limited compared to the entire case file. She said it's going to be a real high-level review, a highlight reel of what the prosecutors think is important in the case file, which could be hundreds of thousands, if not millions of documents. Again, none of them, I think, are going to have any names. The standard practice, particularly in the SDNY, is to keep the grand jury presentation as slim as possible, Kristoff said. The goal of the prosecutor is essentially to put it as little evidence as they need in order to get the indictment. Of course, they're talking about the evidence of the testimony of others. That's going to be heavily redacted. So, although it's good to see progress being made, it's still kind of spinning our wheels in the mud. Again, I don't think people are going to get the results that they're hoping they're going to get, but nonetheless, folks, the pressure's on. You've seen Elon mounting multiple angles of pressure at Donald Trump. The internet's going to be ablaze with people saying this isn't enough, as Donald Trump said, more, more, more. My question is how far do you think it's going to go in terms of pressure? You've got the Republican convention coming up. You've got people saying this is going to devastate the Republican Party if they don't get down to it, because after all, they promised to release these lists. So I understand, to what extent did people promise to release lists? Nobody really said. It was just a matter of they're all going to be out there. Now, legally, you can't just put them all out there. People said that from the beginning. But I'm curious to see what happens as things move forward. Let me know what you guys think down below. Do you think this is about as far as it's going to get? We're not going to get any real information. We'll never know the truth. Or do you think at some point the pressure is going to mount so largely that it affects the Republican Party to no extent that they at least have to drop a couple of names? Let me know your thought down below. And if it's your first time here, I hope this video's earned your subscription. Make sure as you hit that button, click the bell for all notifications. Join me live here on the channel each and every Friday night for Friday Night Fringe, our live streaming show where we go over everything that happened this week in politics, everything we know coming up in the week ahead, joined by the beautiful Mrs. Fringe as we hear back and forth the greatest Q&A from one of the best YouTube communities on the platform. I always look forward to chatting with you guys outside of making these videos. I most importantly look forward to talking with you this Friday night starting at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central here on the channel. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one.